Welcome back, developers. So today is an exciting day. We are going to be doing a simple temperature converter, which allows the user to enter the temperature they want to be converting from, and if they enter the value, they should get the result in Fahrenheit, and vice versa. If they enter the value in Fahrenheit, they should get the result in Celsius. And also, we're also going to be introducing version control using GitHub. So we're going to be doing that, and you also be able to upload your projects or your files to a repository like this one here. And yeah, that's it. Let's get into the video. So we want to get a temperature converter that is from Celsius to Fahrenheit and vice versa. Let's say we have a, a temperature 20 degrees Celsius and we want to convert this value into Fahrenheit. The formula for that is 20 degrees Celsius times 9/5. Then the product 32 will be added to the product, and then we'll get our value in degree Fahrenheit. So 20 times 9/5, we get 36, plus 32, we get 68. So it's meant to give us 68 degree Fahrenheit. Let's check our temperature converter to clarify that. 20, and there we have it. 20 degrees Celsius is the same as 68 degree Fahrenheit. So now we have the logic for the code. What we discover is that we need a formula, a value from the user, and give them a result, which is this. All right, so let's put this into action. So let's say we have our from, there's a keyword as from, so we are not going to name it from. We have our from value from temp, from temperature to be equal to what the user enters. But for now, we'll just change that to C, so representing Celsius. And if it is C, we don't need to have a two value because it's always from Celsius to Fahrenheit we are going to be doing here today. So the value will then be entered. Let's say the value is 20 degrees Celsius. So what we should then do is value times 9/5 and close the parenthesis plus 32. And remember, value is going to be returned as a string. So we have to convert it to a floating point in case that the user enters decimal numbers. We're going to say value equal to float value. But wouldn't it be nice, since it's an input, if they don't enter the correct value, we keep on prompting them. So instead, what we're just going to do is while true, you should ask for the value. I'll go ahead and make this one an input now. Should go ahead and ask for the value. Then you should enclose this in a try and except block, just because I don't want to be checking conditions. So try, then convert it to float from the onset, and except, let's say exception and E. So this try and except block is simply a way of handling errors. Otherwise, you can call it error handling. So if during compile time this is tried, it doesn't work, it raises an error. So we are controlling this by making the person not see an error like this. Instead, they are going to see a written error, which we are going to state here: print f e, a new line and invalid value. Just going to comment this, and if they enter a string that is of letters and whatever, we get could not convert string to float, which is the error that was raised. So instead of getting an error like this telling them trace back most recent call, value equals to float, could not convert string, this text is then going to be what is going to printed as E. So we have that in control, under control. After that, we have been able to get our value. Now we have our value and we have converted it to floating point number. We are then going to run this formula. It would be best if this formula is in a function. So we are just going to say define Celsius to Fahrenheit. Let's make this more detailed. Celsius to Fahrenheit. And it's going to take in an argument, which is going to be within this function, that value is going to be referred to as num. And we are going to assign this num to the result variable, result being the Fahrenheit result. That is what is gotten from this calculation. So num times 9/5 plus 32. Then we are going to return Fahrenheit. And let's not use keyword arguments. Let's just use normal arguments. So we're just going to copy this, and then because we'll also be converting from Fahrenheit to Celsius, we'll have a function for converting that. And just going to pass in F because I don't want to be typing too much. So let's make this formula now work for Fahrenheit. So we're going to collect this to the other side, and as it changes over, it becomes minus. And we are going to, since we are making Celsius subject of the formula, this is going to go below. So that is going to be presented as this 9/5, meaning it's going to be Fahrenheit minus 30. All right. So Celsius F. So let's come over here and change this to C as well. All right. So we are going to be returning Celsius, but this seems redundant. So we are just going to not repeat ourselves and go straight to the point. And instead of storing it to a variable, we're just going to do like this: return the formula. That is what is gotten from the formula. Then you're going to do the same here. Just to be safe, we're going to enclose this in parentheses. And let's just invert this 5/9 and put a multiplication sign here. So then we should print, let's say Fahrenheit and we're going to pass in value. Then we are going to also do the same for our Celsius formula. So if we pass 20 degrees for this Fahrenheit formula, we should get the equivalent in Celsius. Then if we pass in 20 for here, we should get 68, since we already know that one. So let's pass in 20, and 20 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit is 68, and then 20 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius is -6. And we could just clarify that we pass in 20 over here. Sorry. And there we go, -6.67. But this doesn't look too fresh, the rounding of the value. So we're just going to use the inbuilt round function and round this up to the nearest, let's say 2 decimal places. So that once we enter 20, we should be able to get a rounded value. That seems to be for the Celsius to Fahrenheit. Let me add it for this as well. Alright. So once we enter 20, we get -6.67. So this is just like the raw one. So let us make this a little bit more descriptive. And remember, we declared from temp and we haven't used that. So we are going to now declare an if statement if from temp is equal to C, meaning that they are converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit. That means we want to use this function. And we're just going to store it into a results variable. Now I'm going to copy this and paste it. And else if from temp is equal to F, we're going to use the Fahrenheit formula, which is this. And then else, if the user did not input a correct value, we're going to tell the user just to be clear, this is supposed to be out of this while loop, as this while loop was meant for just prompting them over and over again if they made a mistake. So we are going to do an outer while loop just so that the temperature converter is going to continue running even if they have found their result, something like this. All right. So we don't just want to tell them the equivalent, we want to tell them in a descriptive format. So we are going to print to the console an F string telling them both what they entered as the value and what they got as a result. So we should say, let's say X degrees Celsius, just going to go to this, which was what they entered and stored into our value variable. So is equal to, then let's collect a Fahrenheit symbol from our inbuilt this thing, Windows, and we are going to pass in the result we got. So we're going to do the same for here. All right, so there we have it. We have done all those ones. And remember what I said when we're declaring this function about just returning this. We could also do the same here and pass in this function to results. Do the same for this other function here. And just trying to reduce the number of lines here. So we have this function, we have this. So we also need to collect an input for the user entering the front temperature. So we are going to put this into the while loop. Front temperature should be an input. Enter the temperature we are converting from. And just put in C here and F. Then we should do this. So with whatever they pass in here, we are going to do this. So if front temperature is this and all that. And also we also need to check something else because they might enter it in uppercase. They're going to just convert it to lowercase. And I guess that's it. One more thing, you should also tell them why this is here. So let's just say print quick tip C Celsius and F Fahrenheit. All right, so if we run this, you get quick tip C signifies Celsius, F signifies Fahrenheit. Enter the temperature you are converting from. So if you say you're converting from Celsius, enter your value, let's say 20 as you already know. See, it keeps on prompting the user for enter your value, which I forgot to control that. So we're going to use the control flow keyword break, meaning that once we get a good value, we should break out of the while loop. Alright, so we are going to enter C. So if we don't enter, the while loop continues, but once we enter a good value, we get our results. So we're converting from Fahrenheit, and if you enter 68, we get 20 degrees Celsius. As usual, this is a simple version. You could make this advanced. For example, I've done something related to this before. I went ahead and did something like this. We are converting from, I added both Kelvin, because if you can remember, or if I should show you now, in the calculator app which I opened, we have three temperature formats: Celsius, Fahrenheit, and Kelvin. So if you should enter Fahrenheit to Kelvin and we convert 123 Fahrenheit, you should be getting this, right? So using that, we can say we're converting from Fahrenheit to Kelvin. And once we enter 123, we should get same thing this calculator got, which is 323. And there we go, it's rounded to the nearest one decimal place, 323.7 degree Kelvin. So if you say you want to convert from Celsius to Kelvin, that is 396 Kelvin for 123 Celsius. You just do the same. And once you enter 123, we get 396.1 degree Kelvin. So that is just it. You could enhance it. You could use different methods. For example, in this other method, I used if statements and I still commented out a match case statement, a match case method. So if you'd like to understand it, you could also check it out. Which brings me to one of the things I said at the intro of the video, that we are going to be doing what we call version control. So now, what is version control? Version control is like a way of managing and tracking your source code. That is, if you make changes, you are able to revert them if you want, or update them as the case may be, that as a developer. So the most common means of version control is Git and GitHub. Now, if you want to understand this in a broader term, I would recommend you go to this channel, Kevin Stratvet, to understand Git and GitHub. He explains it in full detail. But I already have Git installed in my system. I'm going to give you a brief intro to GitHub. So if you go to your browser and search github.com, you get this beautiful website. And on this platform, we are able to do version control. So you just click on the sign up button and follow the steps, and after that, let's say I enter my email, and enter a username. So after verifying your account, you then click on sign in, and when you sign in, you then take into your home page. Then on my own home page, as you can see, I have various introductions. I can see introduction to GitHub, basically like tutorials to tell me about GitHub, and this YouTube video telling you what GitHub is in detail. So just in order to go straight to the point, I'm going to go to my repositories. Now, repository is like a library of your code. So as you can see, I don't have any public repository yet. That is because I haven't uploaded them. So just click on new, and over here I can select the name I want, and description. You just write a short description about your repository, and you can select whether you want it to be public or private, and you can add a readme file, which is optional, but I'm just going to skip that. And you can add a .gitignore file. What is a .gitignore file? Now, .gitignore allows a developer to specify the files or folders he or she does not want to display to the users. So I'm just going to go to this repository to explain what it is. Over here, we can see this is a compare 50 repository, and we have a .gitignore file. So all the files and folders written in this gitignore file will not be displayed when this is uploaded to GitHub. So for example, if this bin folder had been added here, all the details and everything related to bin will not be found on this repository. So we are just going to click on create repository. Then once we do that, we see quick setup if you have done this kind of thing before, or create a new repository in the command line, which is what we are going to be doing. We are going to create from with the command line and push from an existing repository. So I just want you to go back to um, your IDE and click on the file and open it in Explorer. And when you go to Explorer, you just click on the folder you want to commit and open it in command prompt. You could use command prompt, but if you have git and git bash installed, you could use git bash. I prefer using git bash because I love it. So anyways, I'm just going to cd into this folder on my git bash. To paste, you could just click on shift insert. Copy the wrong directory. And there we go. Now I'm within my folder. And in order to clear, just click on type clear and press enter. Now, to create a new repository, what we just need to do is click on git init. Sorry, type in git init. But before that, let's go into the steps to create a git file. That is a git repository. So first we need to add our name to tell git who the author is. Now what this means is that git needs to know who the author is, and I've already done that. So in order to do that, you just need to say git config dash dash global, that is specifying that is the global, that is general, sorry, user.name. Now mind you, if you do it in this folder, we will need to be redoing it every time for different folders. So in order to prevent that, we're just going to go back to the root folder, and when we're in the root folder, we then do it git config mind spaces dash dash global user.name, and you pass in your name. But I've already done this, so for me who has done it, I just need to type git config dash dash get user.name, and I'll be able to see my name, which is PyPro. Then you also need to specify the email which you are using for this. In order to do that, you say git config dash dash global user.email and pass in your email. And when you click on enter, it's going to take this email, and I've already done this as well. And when I click on this, I get my email. So after that, the next step, you need to set the default branch name. Now what does this mean? That if we say git init, if we initialize the repository, the name that is going to show is known as the default branch name. So recent ones is usually master, but a common convention is main. So if you like the master, you can leave it as master, but if you want to use the common convention, you can set this as main. So I'm just going to go back into that directory of before. Now I'm here. The next step, we need to turn the folder into a repository. And in order to do this, we just need to type in git init. And as the command implies, init is just like a way of initializing, which is creating a repository. And let's go into the folder so you see what is about to happen. If you don't have hidden items checked, just go ahead and do that. So once I click on enter, I see a hidden folder known as .git, and this folder contains different files and folders. So that is successful. So then let's go into the next step, which is to track our files. Now, in order to track our files, what does it mean? It means we need to like give the repository the files that we would like to upload whenever we upload. So if they are not tracked, it's not Git's business. So in order to track the files, we just need to say git you would think is track, but it's not track. Instead, it's git add, then the file name. For example, I want to add the beginner folder, and I pass it in, and I get it happens. I just need to remove this, and I don't get the result, meaning that it was successful. In order to know files that are tracked, you just need to type in git status, and it gives you the status of your initialized, or should I say your existing repository. So now we get changes to be committed and untracked files. So this .idea folder is not tracked, meaning that it's not going to be uploaded. So in order to specify that I don't want it to be uploaded at all, even if I track all with the git add command, with the git add all command, which is period signifies all, I'm going to just go ahead and create the git ignore file we talked about initially, and just type in .git ignore, and it doesn't have an extension. The extension is the git ignore. So when you click enter, you then pass in the folders or the files you don't want to be visible. So I don't want the .vim file folder, and I don't want the .idea folder. So if I go back to my terminal, I click on git status, I don't get the idea folder. Instead, I get the git ignore file, which I can also prevent by adding it in itself, which is the git ignore folder. That's if I don't want anybody to see my git ignore folder. And now if I click on git status, I don't see that. So I have all these files tracked. Now it's time to commit. Now what does commit mean? Commit is like taking a screenshot of the current files that have been tracked and that you want Git to take charge of. So if you want to revert back to that stage, it's going to give you the details it has when you committed. So in order to commit, we use the command git commit -n and your message. So now I want my message to be uploaded my project. So once I click enter, I get create mode and all this, meaning that it was successful. Now if we go to the website, we can see git init, git add readme, we didn't do that. You can see git commit, we did that. You can see git branch. I know why I didn't do that yet. You can see git remote add origin, and we can see git push. Now these three steps are the same steps we are going to be taking pushing an existing repository. So we are going to add the origin, which is this repository we have created, and we can see the link here, which is specific to our account. We are going to go back to git bash and click on git remote add origin and paste in that link within single or double quotes, whatever your choice is, and we get this. And then the next thing is to create a main branch. We are creating a main branch because we want master to be the default branch on the PC, and if you want any changes, we should do it on the master, not the main branch. So in order to create a new branch, we just do git branch and the branch name. So here we are not using the branch name, we are using main. So when I click enter, that's successful. So now I want to push this, which is upload it to this GitHub repository. So all I just need to do is git push dash u origin main. So I'm pushing the main branch to my GitHub repository. Once I click enter, sometimes you may need to perform some authentication processes, but I didn't need to do that because I've done it before. So if I go to my GitHub repository, as you can see, there is no change. But once I refresh, voila, what do I see? The beginner folder. And as you can see here as well, I have uploaded my project. Now this was my commit message, and I did that 2 minutes ago. So if I click on the folder, I can now see all the projects we've been doing since, from day one till date. You can as well see the updated version of the Fahrenheit Celsius code, and you can see the normal version. And you can basically see all your projects, the ones that you specify to upload to GitHub. So if I should make a change on this place, for example, let's come on here, and as you can see, we have just 6 lines. If I should come up here and edit this file on my browser, for example, I can say this, and I click on commit changes, and I leave the message as this. If I click on commit changes, I come back to my IDE and nothing happened. In order for that to reflect here, all I just need to do is git pull, meaning I'm taking it from the GitHub repository. And once I click enter, I come here and I meant to see a change, but since like that didn't work, so I need to change to my main branch first before I pull, and now I get that message. You see, from time to time you get used to this. Me myself, I'm still getting used to it because at times I tend to forget the things I already know. So if I make a change here as well and clean this, in order for me to pull it, to push it, I need to first of all, what do you think? Just to show you, check the status of the repository, and we see modified beginner temperature. So what do I need to do is to commit and say edited git.txt, and there was no change. That's because I have not yet added it. Just wanted to test it. So you add it first before you commit, and when I commit, it's successful, and then I can push. When I push, if I come to the browser and I refresh, I should be able to see this not being here again. So I'm just going to refresh again, and there you go, it's not there. So basically that's just a brief overview on Git and GitHub, and yeah, that's it. One more thing, don't also forget to practice your projects and also come up with amazing ideas and ways to enhance code. Keep on shining. Be you. Do you. Be the best. And like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.